Okay, it's going.
Just waiting just a second here for this stuff to get fired up. All right, that's live. That's live. Okay. Recorders are turned on.
Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
Afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we are for a late start to the new media show. But, Rob, you were racing the Tesla to get back to meet the start time.
Traffic. Fun traffic.
Fun traffic. Yeah, well, my traffic here is, I get annoyed with it, but it's non-existent. So I'm pretty happy.
That's a good problem not to have.
Yeah, it is. But I tell you, I have like two really hot topics. And as a matter of fact, one that's so hot that I emailed both Brian and Tom to say, are you guys doing something? And I got almost an immediate reply back that said, no, not us. But I'll leave that as a teaser. Because
I know that they're pushing hard to get this big event at South by Southwest.
I saw some announcement on that, but this is something else.
Okay.
This is a juicy one. As a matter of fact, it's a series of emails I've responded to today by a mystery person who I've tried to look up. I guess we'll just save it first. But of course, the big news, holy crap, is Google has left the podcasting space for how many times?
That's right. They've taken a few cycles around the earth with the seventh day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of a little crazy that they can't stay focused for very long, can they?
No.
Yeah.
This is what, how many tries have they done now? I kind of lose track of these big companies that try to integrate podcasting and then don't. And so now they're just all bets are to YouTube. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a mistake on my part. I think
they started to gain market share. They're in the top 5.
I know. It's like stay the course, guys. There's nothing wrong with Google Podcasts. There's nothing wrong with doing it in YouTube if you really have to.
So
right.
hold
both places.
Hold on, Apple, now.
Now it's time.
Now it's time. You have no excuse.
Right. That's true.
You have no excuse. They've given up the ghost. They're giving up Google Podcast. So, hey, that's great for the Android app developers, but this just sucks. I want to use a word that I can't use.
Yeah.
On beep beep. This just sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On all levels.
Yeah, it's
Google, shame on you.
Right. It's really kind of a disgrace that they've chosen to do this.
Shame
I'm not sure it's a smart
you.
move. Right.
Shame on you.
I mean, from a consolidation of resources, I can see that, but there's no reason why these two platforms can operate kind of, with each other.
It's just, they don't like RSS. Remember, Google does not like RSS. So someone asked me today, do you think Google's going to start hosting? I don't think so, because they want everyone to stay on YouTube. They don't want you ever to leave. So
this is clearly a content acquisition strategy is what it is. I mean, they already have the content with Google Podcasts, but, so really it's a matter of migrating. My big question, though, is are they going to be hosting audio files or are they going to be hosting video files with this strategy? I still don't know the answer to that question.
Are they going to migrate Google Podcasts into YouTube? Is that how they're going to populate YouTube? Did they say that?
That's the perception that I
Well, okay, so doesn't that require my permission for them to do that?
have. I don't know that it requires permission to do that. What it does do is it raises a lot of questions around, because everything I've ever heard YouTube communicating is that anything that goes into the YouTube platform is going to be video or in a video format, right? Are they planning on converting all the audio into video is what they're trying to do.
That's and if they do,
in that case,
then it's
they
really
need permission.
Yes,
right?
That's really bad, because then nothing's on pass through. Everything's cash.
I've heard rumors that they're talking about pass through because they face pushback.
Okay, so if that's pass through, then they have to be serving MP3s.
Right. I mean, unless they figured out a technical way to update
stuff on the fly.
Stuff on the fly, going from audio to video on their platform. Right.
Shame on you, Google.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake.
So Apple, though you're listening, I know you're listening. I know the number of people over there listening. Time for a Android app.
Oh, it's been way past time.
Well, better yet, the hell with it. Now it's time. It's really time. Just go to podcastapps.com and get yourself a new modern podcasting app. The heck with the rest of these folks. The heck with the rest of them. Just go to podcastapps.com. You that are listening, podcasters, start telling your podcast listeners to go to podcastapps.com, get a modern podcast app. Don't use any of these legacy apps. We don't need them.
Yeah.
I'm irritated. And to be honest with you, Rob, I didn't even read. I just saw the headline. I was like, I was too busy. I've been buried. I've been up to here the last really 3 days. I'm glad we pushed to 4 because I've been in meetings since I had took 15 minutes for lunch today. I never ordered DoorDash here because you pay $5 for delivery. It's stupid. I usually go grab lunch, but ordered DoorDash today because I had 15-minute window to eat. Since about 10 a.m. this morning. I'm not a kid. My schedule's been full. I've been sitting in a chair all morning and this way it's been since Monday.
Yeah. So anyway, this change isn't going to happen until later in 2024 is what
they might change their mind 5 times between now and then. The strategy continues to change.
Yeah. Well, obviously, they feel like this is a significant addition to add to YouTube Music, and they must have big plans for trying to compete with Spotify with this platform.
Who?
Who? Right.
Who?
and Apple, for that matter. So, I mean, all hands are on deck now in the streaming music wars now, huh?
Well, I
don't know what else to say about it, really. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing I'm concerned about is pass through and whether or not audio is converted into video.
I think they need to ask permission to move my show from Google Podcasts. Specifically, if they try to move it to YouTube, I already have a YouTube channel.
Let's talk about how even YouTube, Google Podcasts got their content. They got it off of embedded RSS links in web pages.
That's right.
Which was a kind of a broken way of doing it anyway. I think that was a bad mistake on their part. They used the Google search engine to find podcasts, and they found and they added the podcast. That's the way, and at least they used a logarithm that we are able to decipher, and you'd be able to say, okay, this is what your Google Podcast link is going to be. It just goes to show, hey, but you know what? But it created so much confusion in the market with podcasters. Am I in there? Am I not in there? How do I find it?
So big opportunity here. Subscribe on Android.com still exists.
Right.
So Blueberry operates subscribe on Android.com. If you're an Android, if you're worried about your audience being able to subscribe to your show if they're an Android user, do not send them to Spotify.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't give up your listeners' privacy by sending them over there. The second they land on you, they own your listener. Think about that for a second. Matter of fact, I did an interview with someone yesterday, and I think the podcast went live today, and I said, listen, you're using this company and that. I said, you are basically selling out your listeners' privacy. And
there's a lot of that going on right now.
So,
and moderation is creeping into the media.
I'm getting daily. I get emails from the site that shall not be named about their moderation of shows. Not moderation, just flat out step up, put a thumb on them.
Well, let's say what it is. It's evaluating shows based on content or suitability or compatibility with advertising brands.
Well, it's not all that. So. They're very, very heavy-handed on content, and put a hammer on a show. It depends on what you say, and it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Well,
anything.
if you don't, if your content is not acceptable to it, it's really the same thing that's happening to some degree to Russell Brand and what's happening on YouTube.
So
with content creators is those people are being either demonetized or their opportunities for monetization are dramatically reduced.
Again, podcastapps.com, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
That's what we want you to do is go over there and get yourself a new modern podcast app. And I just, by the way, we did get a boost right before the show. Matt Kundle came and said, hey, looking forward to the Google Podcast Chat 2112. We want to thank Matt for that boost that came in before the show.
Right. Thank you, Matt. Yep.
So, I'm just, there's a huge opportunity here. Okay, so let's back up.
Yeah, I hope that Apple has a strategy here to take those Android users.
Let's back up. Let's back up. Before Google Podcast, the only way that you could get an Android listener subscribed to your show was through a complicated process of telling them to go grab an app, specific Android app, go find an app, and find my show and subscribe to it. Now, that's what we're coming back to. Next year, you as a podcaster are going to have to tell your audience members, if you don't send them over to the platform that shall not be named, you're going to send them to the Google App Store to download an app and tell them, find my show. Now, what you need to do now, and maybe this is an opportunity for some of you out there that have never deployed what we have given to the community more than 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a very, very cool thing. It gives you one-click subscribe on Android functionality with running a link on your website. And what happens is if they don't have an Android app, then we give them the opportunity to install one. But once one is installed, then guess what happens? From that point forward, when they click on the subscribe on Android link on your website, they get subscribed right in the app, opens right up to your show. Click and go. And here's the best part. Podcast Guru supports it. And Podcast Guru is a great podcasting 2.0.
Todd, if you go and do a search in Google for a new media show, there was a time when it came up with a group list of episodes that you could click play on.
Yep. Right? Now it's just
you don't see anything.
No, we don't see nothing. We see the Apple listing. We see the website. We see the site that shall not be named. We see YouTube playlist. We see Stitcher. We see Audible. We see Podchaser. We see player.fm.
So really the bottom line here is Google's already taken down most of the functionality already.
That's right. Yeah. The validity. People also search for school podcasting. We know about that show, Dave. And a few others, but it's completely, and I didn't even use an incognito window, which I should have, but
now it has a generative AI breakdown for the show that pops up.
Who does? Google?
Google does.
What? You must be using some beta thing. I'm not.
Well, if you do, it's actually combining search results now with AI kind of results.
Mine didn't show that. Where do you see AI on my screen?
I don't, but I've got it.
You must have some beta turned up.
I could.
Yeah. So what happens what does the generative AI say?
It just gives a summary of what the show is about.
Okay.
I mean, I can share the screen with you and you can see it.
Yeah, if you want to share it.
Let's see here.
I think I have screen sharing turned on.
You do? Okay. It's the Chrome browser.
Well, come on, Rob. You're acting like an old curmudgeon in here.
No, I was just making sure I was picking the right one. All right. So this is it. So at the very top of the search result, it says generative AI is experimental. Info quality may vary. So
but if you notice here, guess what's missing?
Any links to media.
Any links to be able to follow or subscribe.
Right. Well, off to the right, there is links to Apple Podcasts. Looks like a link to Podbean.
And by the way, we're not hosted on Podbean, so I don't know why it makes it look like we are. I guarantee you we're not.
Yeah. So they've captured our show on their platform.
Yeah, they have a directory over there.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. You have some beta thing turned on.
And looks like IMDb is listing the show too.
So
Spotify.
Anyway, be careful. You're showing a different screen.
Anyway, that's what the generative AI looks like. But there's no links coming out of Google Podcasts. That's for sure.
Or out of Google, you mean?
Well, Google Podcast. There's no way.
Oh, no, nothing.
Yeah, to actually get into Google Podcasts, even right now.
Right. So
I'll stop sharing.
So now here we are.
So really, for all intents and purposes, it's already a dead platform, in my opinion. But there's still some apps out there that people have on their phones.
So those of you that are developing Podcasting 2.0 apps, you got a huge opportunity here, and make sure you implement the subscribe on Android shortcode so that you can be a one-click subscribe, at least for all Blueberry customers. Anonymous says, Google's tried podcasting 4 or 5 times. It never works for them. Thank you for the 1,701 sats. We definitely appreciate that.
Right.
And so should I talk about my other topic that I have that's an interesting email that came in?
Well, we can, and then also talk about the AI stuff, cloning stuff.
Cloning?
Yes. Yeah, did you see the AI cloning into multiple languages?
That's
the unnamed
boring.
platform?
Boring. Come on. It's I sampled some of that, and it sure didn't sound like the host.
Well, that's the topic, right?
Yeah, because they said they had voice sampling so that the clone voice,
right,
would sound like the host. Well, what it sounded to me like when I listened to it, and I had someone that was a native speaker listen to it, and they said that sounds like a bot. It didn't sound natural. There was no pacing. You could tell it was generated from a transcript. There was no inflection. There was no excitement. There was no, oh my God, look at, there was none of that. It was just, wah, 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 wah.
I have no idea what they just said because it's in a different language.
Well, I had someone that was a native speaker listening to it, and they said I could tell immediately that was, generated by a bot, by AI. So it's okay. So I think Pod News is already doing this in several languages, or did before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
So this is not new.
Yeah,
this is not groundbreaking news. Listen to me, everyone. Listen carefully. Authentic voices are going to be sought out as we go forward. As more of this digital content is created by AI, your voice, your content, your inflection is going to be valued.
Well, that's what the difference is going to be, right?
Right.
So, and it should be probably flagged that it's AI generated. It should be.
So, yeah. So
that's my opinion anyway.
To me, it wasn't like, it was like, okay, boring. So let me get into my little secret topic that I had come in.
Okay.
I got an email from, I don't know who this individual is. If you're a listener of the show, please email me back, and because I looked you up and I can't find you. I will read the first email. Todd, I know this could never be you. It's just the beginning of exposing companies that make money off creator ads and defrauding them out of it. The fraud is apparently multi-layered, though. Our secret group chat with some other creators said companies are also tinkering with a creator's dashboard to show lower downloads. The ad markets see way higher inventory numbers, downloads to purchase, and when they buy these impressions, the middleman, hosting companies or agents, takes what the creators don't see and pays out on lower download numbers. It sounds easy for these low-life beeps, but it's also easy to detect. This type of white-collar crime has spawned an entire industry of professionals dedicated to catching ad fraud and helping those individuals book extended stays in prison. Here's the kicker. These investigations are started without any warning to the company, and they do employ forensic accounts to follow the money. Trust isn't given. It's earned in life, especially business. When hosting companies and agencies refuse transparency, it's the biggest blaring red flag to not give these people your business. It also asinine to create distrust and destroying business with any ethical business practices. I don't know a beep soul that's been able to pull that off for any length of time before they start to pay dearly for it. Cast Media, unfortunately, isn't the only one doing this. Creators are being taken advantage of in hopes that they don't communicate to each other about what they're experiencing on their app platforms. There are other platforms doing it as well. Cast Media won't be the only company exposed for being thieves. Now, this is the email that I got. And I said, my response is, this is why a podcaster always needs to run third-party measurement, like Blueberry, to see what the grand total is. The challenge becomes with most programmatic and fill rates are not at 100%. We run between 75 to 85%, which can vary widely from episode to episode. Our partner is unique in that we know when they are serving a media with an ad and when not. We serve the media file via our CDN when there is no ad, and they serve the file when there is an ad. We then process our stats separately, so we always can see the delta and match that up with the reporting. That was my response. And then this conversation went on and on. Went back and forth several times.
Mhm.
And it's curious because I was asked to provide a payout sheet. And we're not doing that because I don't know who this group is, what they're doing with this data. See how revenue reporting is structured. Our podcasters can see that.
So
And
you're going to get pulled into doing audits?
no, this is just some group that is questioning whether or not podcasters are getting ripped off by the folks that are serving ads for them. So
Right.
Here's the thing. My partner, I trust explicitly. I've had a long time relationship with them. But at the same time, I do run their stats separately. And I don't reconcile every report, but I do have the ability to see what was delivered and what was paid for on my side. I have that ability to see that. And it's, to me, smells like, and I responded to this individual, I said, this is starting to feel like a hit piece. Who is this group? So this group is yet to be determined. So I had sent an email over to Tom and Brian, and I'd asked, I said, are you guys doing anything like this? Are you guys doing some digging in? And Tom immediately replied back, said, no, this is not how we work. He said, we don't know anything about this, but I'm not surprised someone's digging an issue. So he says, this isn't what we do. And I believe that too. You know, they're very upfront about what they do. Because I just trying to figure out who is the group, who is this anonymous group that's digging in. And I'm actually going to have a call with Tom on Monday to talk about this. So again, I just was curious because all of a sudden I'm getting some weird emails and people asking questions about advertising. And has anybody else got any of these emails? Anybody else in the podcasting space? If you have, I'd love to hear from you. Todd@blueberry.com.
Right.
But I think, and there was even a comment made that companies shouldn't be using PayPal to pay podcasters. I've been paying podcasters with PayPal for 18 years. Never had an issue.
Is that more of a political thing, or is it?
I don't. They said it wasn't secure or something
Oh,
to that effect.
you can always use Venmo. That's more secure, right?
So, and again, every show that is running programmatic, with us, we initially had it wide open where you could just turn it on, but now I go through and look at every show, approve every show to turn on, because we had a couple of jokers that came in and turned on programmatic that, should not have been running programmatic. They were just scammer shows. So I said, okay, shut it down, lock it down. The party's over. And we can't make it easy. We're going to have to approve every show. And so I think if there is a group investigating, I think the main thing is you have to do independent analysis of your statistics using a third-party statistics provider. There's plenty of them. There's PodTrack. There's us. There's OP3. And if you use OP3, that's open source so that everyone can see those numbers. But the thing you have to make sure of is in the audio delivery that redirect isn't stripped. As you go through and look at those deliveries, you got to make sure that the redirect hasn't been gutted from the delivery.
Right.
If the redirect has been gutted, then I'd get super concerned.
Right.
That the redirect, because basically if you're running host-read, there's a difference too. If you're running host-read, you're contracted for X number of deliveries. There might be a limit. Let's say they book you for 8,000 deliveries per episode.
Or increasingly impressions, right?
Or impressions, impressions, plays. So
even though they're not really impressions.
So at 8,000, you deliver 8,000 or whatever it is the limit. They should stop delivering, and you should get paid on what you're contracted for, on on host read. So this should be pretty straightforward. You know what you've been contracted to deliver. You know what you're going to get paid. So in on host reads, there should never be a question. Your contract should say that you're expected to deliver X thousands or whatever the number is per episode.
So you're talking about host reads that are dynamically inserted,
right? Yeah, but
right. Not baked in host reads.
In my contracts with host reads, I say, up to, and I give an up to number. You're going to get paid up to. Here's the cutoff, and I'm going to be very, very close to what your average download numbers are, because I have to be able to bid that in the contract to say, your show can deliver 8,000 impressions, downloads per episode. I'm going to pay you for 8,000. Now, usually if it goes over, I pay the overage. I usually take that out of hide, but I contract for an amount per episode. And if this is what happened probably to these other folks, if they, if the podcaster only delivers 7,000, well, I make less money, and we don't meet our delivery goals. We might be able to even it out other places, but, in the end, it kind of works out. But on programmatic, the price of the delivery, the price of the ad, where it's delivered, who it's that changes. That spreadsheet could be for one episode, could have 400 different advertisers paying 400 different prices for the ads.
Yeah.
And so I think from a programmatic standpoint, that's where, you have to watch. And here's a simple thing. Turn off your programmatic, see what your download numbers are, run 3-4 episodes without programmatic, without anybody injecting anything. Rebaseline. What'd you say, Rob?
Oh, I was just saying, and then see where your numbers are.
Yeah, see where your numbers are. Then turn on programmatic again, and your numbers should be in that same range. You should be very easy to figure out. But again, the fill rates, it depends on what partner you're working with. If they're delivering all your downloads, if they're delivering your ads with media in it and your ads without, well, then maybe you can't tell. But at least us with Blueberry, we know we deliver the ads. My CDN delivers the ad when there's no ads, and my partner delivers the ad when there is an ad. And I get their raw log files, and 1 + 1, and I have the number.
Right.
And then I get the report, and I can look at the report and say, okay, got paid for 10,000. They delivered 10,000. And there's always going to be a little bit of this.
Yeah.
It's never going to be exact. But if it falls out of a range, I'm going to be picking up the phone and say, hey.
Yeah, if it's way out of whack. Yeah.
It's way out of whack. I'm like, hey, what's where did that go? So I think that there is I think a podcaster has to know their numbers. They're going to get in this business, and they have to know who they're working with.
Todd, it's always interesting. These type of situations always come up when the economy is a little rough.
Yes, it does.
And if you combine that topic with what Ashley Carmen's article that came out about 4 days ago on Bloomberg, she's writing an article on Bloomberg. I'll just read the title of this article: "Podcasting's #1 agent." This is like talent agent now copes with crash of market he height. This is a conversation about guarantees.
Right. I've never ever I would be insane to give a guarantee.
Yeah, but that's been going on.
Yeah.
It's been going on a lot the last few years,
right.
And these big power broker talent agents out of Hollywood have been like a target where everybody's been, the talent's been working with them, the advertised brokers have been working with them as well. And so you kind of have this in the hosting platforms. I would say many of the hosting platforms have been working with these talent agents too. So you have this trifecta of power with these power brokers that are giving access. when I say these power brokers, they're the typical one, or there's multiple ones out there. It's called a United Talent Agency out of Los Angeles and New York and things like that. And they oftentimes will represent a particular talent or a show or whatever to an advertiser type broker type platform, like a larger hosting platform or an advertising sales platform or a big media company will represent them, and they will demand, 6-figure guarantees on. That's oftentimes even before a show is even launched.
That's right.
And that's where the mistake is. And that's really what this article focuses on, is that these talent agents have created a environment within the industry that is financially unsustainable.
So, but I think for most podcasters out there, choose your partners and people that you work with wisely.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've had this saying for years.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably do a Google of this and you probably find it too. When Angela was developing her stats, I told him, I don't care what the number is. I just need to know what the number is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we at Blueberry have always overqualified downloads. I go beyond the IEB spec. I don't want to overhype and because what it does is it hurts. Rob, you and I have had this conversation 100 times.
Right.
If I report 5,000 downloads and it was 1,000, and we bill 5,000 downloads and it was only 1,000, that advertiser is going to get pissed off because the performance is going to be junk, and they are going to leave.
There's not going to be an ROI. I mean, that's
they're going to leave.
Right.
And I knew at one time a certain advertiser had a spreadsheet. I saw the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he was supposed to show me the spreadsheet. This was a long time ago. So this was maybe 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a list of companies on this spreadsheet. And they had a math equation. It basically discounted the CPMs.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone got the same CPM because guess what? Not everyone counted the same.
Right. That was especially a problem way back then.
So this is part of the reason the IB came into place, and we want to get everyone on the same page, have a certification process so we're all counting as close as we can to one another. But there is, again, it's the minimum specification. It's not the maximum specification. It doesn't cover fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't cover any
whitelists, all
doesn't cover any of that.
Right.
So
bots.
Like well, there's some stuff in there, but again, it's
a pathway to filter them, but it's not really built into the spec, right?
So again, if someone's delivering, this is the problem with when do you analyze? Okay, let's say you deliver a download or play with a listen in it, and it was a bot. Are they filtering in real time as that request comes in to see that is a bot and not deliver that download because it was a bot?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question.
So
what if they process the log files later and say, okay, 100 of these thousands that we delivered with advertising and it was a bot? Guess what? You don't get paid for that if they do that. So there's lots of factors that could go into the technology a company uses when they're delivering media to determine that's real and that's not. There's a whole, so you could actually deliver an ad to a bot and it counts as a play.
Yeah, right.
But you're not going to get paid for it. So there's all kinds of stuff that can happen.
Or an ad request. That's a whole other one.
There's so many variables here.
Right.
This is
I
why.
mean, we've talked about this topic so many times over the 12 years we've done this show.
So,
I mean,
if the number
right.
that you get paid for is 100, 200, 300, it depends on the volume.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the volume. Again, if all of a sudden you see that you got 1,000 downloads, you think 1,000 downloads all had ads in it, but you only get paid for $850. Well, was it because they post-processed it later? They have to explain that.
Right.
That's where you say, why? Why did this? I didn't get paid for this 150. I'm showing 1,000. You only gave me money for 850, but yet you ran ads here. Why didn't I get paid for this 150? They should have a explanation for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of variables. This statistic stuff is hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
My stats processing bill a month, plus it's over 20 grand. Just for stats processing and the analysis of that data. That's not including the storage. It's hard. It's hard to do this.
It is hard because it's a very dynamic medium, right? Literally.
So, it was a very curious email.
Yeah.
So be careful in pointing fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes but again, these are the questions you have to ask the people you work with. How are you doing this? Are you filtering out? Do you filter before delivery? Because most of these ads are being built instantaneously. They deliver within seconds. A lot of things have to happen within several seconds to make sure that not a bot, all kinds of things. That's why we don't do real-time stat. I'm never going to do real-time stat.
So did you see, I guess Ross Adams of Acast was on Pod News Weekly, and I guess
I didn't listen to it, but I heard.
Ross Adams is the CEO of Acast, and I guess he's questioning the ad analytics on Spotify. So here we go, Todd. It feels like we're back, what, 8 years, something like that all these topics are popping up again.
Again, same thing.
Again. It's the same stuff. We thought we knocked this issue out, but it's popping up again.
Is Spotify IAB certified? Are they using was Podsites and Chartable's IAB certified?
Or Podscribe.
Or whatever they were, or whatever that. I'm sorry if I got the company wrong. Which one did Spotify buy? I'm assuming that's what they're doing for their measurement.
Podsites and Podscribe. I think they bought.
No, it was Chartable and one other. I think it was Podsites. The one someone almost got in trouble for.
Right.
Yeah, it was Spotify bought Podsite.
Pods. Okay. Not Pods. Yeah. They all sound the same.
But again, Spotify has all your listener data already.
Yeah.
So they get the real play data. They get the click. They know when the listeners click. They know when they scrub. They know when they went fast forward. They know all that data. They should have the best measurement.
Okay, so what's being said here is that Acast is claiming that Spotify ad analytics should be ignored and they should use Podscribe.
Oh, but Podscribe is only doing pixel.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah. They're doing attribution, or they're not doing measurement.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's ad analytics, so it's not specific to what they're specifically talking about. So it could be attribution, is what they're talking about.
It says verifying. Their website says verify and measure your podcast ads.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I haven't dug too deep into this.
And the whole attribution thing is its own thing too. So that's a whole story we can talk a week on.
Yeah.
Better thing to do is not worry about this. Go value for value.
Right.
And get in the game here.
I'm just not that deep into the metrics of advertising quite
You
as
know,
much as I.
me neither. You know, I'm in the metrics of measuring podcasts.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to get an accurate number.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw something in our stats a couple of days ago. I wrote a ticket up. I said, we need to go look at this. There's something there that I don't like.
Right.
And, you know, I got two of my guys tearing log files apart. You know, so
how do you like the changes in Apple Podcasts that came out with 17? Have you been playing around with it at all?
I
Just
don't,
curious.
I have not upgraded my phone because I'm one of those people that wait. I
Wait
have,
until when?
well, I'll probably wait another week. I can't, how can I say this?
It's not a dramatic change.
No, well, I know something I can't talk about.
Here we go again.
Yeah, I promise I wouldn't say anything.
Okay.
I think the changes are good. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I can see, I think it's good.
So I have some background on some things that have changed, but I'm not at liberty to quote or publish anything.
At least we can see episode art now.
I think what is the best thing is there has been some I think Apple's done some positive things with iOS 17 and the Apple Podcast app. And I'll leave it at that. There's been positive things done.
Do we think that there's going to be anything around analytics coming from Apple anytime soon?
We just did a briefing. Our customers got briefed. No, I'm not privy to anything that's new besides what they have publicly announced.
Right.
And again, if I did know something, I wouldn't be able to
You probably
say
couldn't say it anyway, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. You know? So I think here's the takeaway. Apple's listening, not to just this show. They're listening to the community. They're listening to the hosting companies. They're listening.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's wise of them.
I would just encourage you to play around with the app yourself and discover whatever changes you think may have been implemented.
I don't think it's as confusing as it used to be.
No.
So
Functionality, I think the functionality is better for listeners at this point.
Mm-hmm. But I do agree, Todd. They need to get an app on Android.
Yeah, they do at this point.
Is there a YouTube Music app coming?
Stop. I'm not recommending it. It's not going to be on my distribution folder.
No, but there's no app that exists yet on that. I wonder.
I think there is a YouTube Music app. I think.
Is there?
Yeah, I'm 90% sure there is.
If we can find it.
Yes, there is a YouTube Music app on Google Play.
Oh, okay.
So,
is it available on iOS?
Well, I'm 99% bet it is. Let's go to the the App Store. I'm sure it is there.
Yeah, it says YouTube Music.
So
in-app purchases, it's been rated 1.1 million times.
Yeah, Apple gets 30% of that sales. So
right. I'm going to download it so I can take a peek at what this thing looks like.
But we have to be worried about the Android users, not the iPhone users. The iPhone users are set.
I agree.
So
I don't have an Android, so I can't pull it up.
I do, and so podcastapps.com, ladies and gentlemen. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
It's we have to quit talking about YouTube and podcasting.
Quit talking about YouTube. Like, good luck with that, Todd. I don't know if that's a sustainable strategy. Wow. Okay.
So some of our YouTubers, hey, NMS chat, we know this is going to be a hot potato talk. Ross Brand says, hey, gang. Robin Todd. Beauty Bubble comes says back, this news is wild, huh? Beauty Bubble says, now mine using Chrome, the art and podcast still exist. Yeah, a little bit. Bang said, walled gardens are easier to have comply with government regulations. That's why open podcasting is beautiful. Bangs also says, think about YouTube music. It is included in YouTube videos reviewing music in my playlist. So what is anybody saying anything on Facebook? Let me look on Facebook. Anita says, Mike says, Google AI is beta. You can sign up. Google's tried podcasting. And then Anita says, I don't know why your comment was hidden. Okay, I don't know who she's referring to. So.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see if this YouTube Music app is going to. I mean, I keep saying this, but I think, is it going to support audio?
Well, it already does.
Well,
the YouTube Music is a music playing app. It doesn't play videos, does it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's music on there. It doesn't have a music video.
They convert the music to a video file. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, well, then therein lies a.
Because I mean, unless I'm completely wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but the impression I've got talking to the YouTube team is that they don't do anything in MP3.
That's probably true.
Just because their infrastructure isn't built for MP3, it's built for video. So that's my big question. If it's going to be passed through, then they compromised on this.
Yeah.
And built the ability to ingest audio.
Well,
I mean, MP3 files.
We'll
clear.
We'll have to see what transcends and what happens. We'll have lots of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Because if they're going to support pass through, that's really, I think, the only way they can do it.
I agree, unless they do some sort of other solution.
That's going to be problematic.
Yes, it is.
And are they going to combine in the YouTube Music experience shows that are video as well as audio into one kind of like item listing?
Well, there's the question.
That's part 2 of my question.
Again, Google thus far has failed. So we have to quit talking about them. Here's why. They have failed again and again and again and again to execute a good podcast strategy. I'm not convinced that they can execute a good podcast strategy in YouTube.
Are you taking the position that you would like to see them not be involved in podcasting at all?
Are they driving listeners to my website? Are they driving listens to my show?
That's yet to be determined again with this change in strategy. We don't know.
It took them how many years to get 3.5%, 4% with Google Podcasts?
And then they started pulling that apart, because I don't think 3 or 4% is enough for Google to keep investing.
Well,
and I think that's why we're seeing what's happening here, is that they see a pathway to get content.
But majority
of
shows
existing investment.
But the majority of shows that are on Spotify don't get like 3 or 4%. So, some shows do better on Spotify, but the majority get 3-4% at max. And I would say, if I did, as a matter of fact, I'm going to run a data analysis on that. I would suspect that 90% of shows get less than 3% listening on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Certain shows get great listening on Spotify, but but it's a small minority of shows again. Still,
Yeah,
Apple continues to rule the roost.
yeah. Well, if you think about Apple in their strategy in the market, it's to create a separate podcast app from their music app, right?
Who'd
But
say
yet
that
all
again?
these other, well, Apple's strategy has been on iOS to create a separate app for podcasts and a separate app for music.
Winner,
right?
winner, chicken dinner. Every single podcast, every single iPhone comes preloaded with this very, very cool little thing right here.
Mhm.
It's got a purple, says podcast on it.
The only way, or the only rational way I can see Google deciding to do this was looking at Spotify and saying, okay, well, that's a platform that's gained anywhere from 7 to 15, 20% of the market with a converged music and podcast strategy.
All right, let me look at something here, because
But if you look at Apple, Apple's been dominant with a separate
so
app strategy.
I've never changed this menu. This is a Samsung phone.
Mhm.
Google has to negotiate which apps they are allowed to preload as part of the base of Android.
Mhm.
Here's what I have. I've got Google, Chrome, Gmail, Maps, YouTube, Drive, YouTube Music, Google Play, I loaded Duo, and Photos. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 apps that they preload on every Android device in the world. So
That's probably not that much different what Apple does.
well, but listen, Apple doesn't have to do licensing deals, doesn't have to negotiate. They don't have to go to every one of their partners and said, we're going to add another app. Because believe me, Samsung says, all right, you're allowed to preload so much because this real estate.
Samsung has their own app, right?
Well, they have their own deals and their own multi-billion deals of who gets preloaded on a phone. Netflix, TikTok, they all pay to be preloaded. This isn't a free ride,
right?
With every manufacturer. So when Google tries to load some more, they have to negotiate that out. Apple doesn't have to do that. They just say, we're going to put whatever the hell we want on here.
Right, because they own the whole system.
It, right?
The whole thing.
Whereas, unless you have a Pixel, that's the only phone that Google can say, okay, we're going to load whatever we want. But if you have
I don't think that Pixel's that popular, though.
Oh, it's very popular.
Is it popular?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's very popular with Android users. So in that instance, then,
how does it rank up against Samsung? Do you have an idea as far as market share?
I have. Well, we'll have to Google that and ask ask Bing or whoever. But
ask the AI.
Yeah, ask the AI. But if you look at the market share, but if you think about it now, they had every opportunity over these past 3, 4, 5 years to put Google Podcasts as a default loaded app in Android. They had all this time to pre-negotiate that. And you know what they did? They didn't. So what they said is, okay, I've got YouTube Music already preloaded. I already got is YouTube preloaded? Oh, maybe not. No, my phone YouTube was not. But YouTube Music is preloaded.
Really?
So, okay, we're gonna do some default Google apps delivered on every phone. You're going to give me a list. Aha. So let's go to the source. Let's go to android.com. Let's look here. What apps come preloaded? Google apps such as Gmail, Chrome, and Google Maps come preloaded on many Android Apple. Okay, I already know that.
Todd, I looked up as of July 2023. The Google Pixel now occupies 2.46% of North America smartphones.
All right, here it is. Gmail. Okay, go ahead.
It's third largest Android brand in North America, bested only by Samsung 54% and Motorola 4.82.
Many to almost all Android devices come pre-installed with the following Google apps: Gmail, Google Maps, Google Chrome, YouTube, Google Play Music, Google Play Movies and TV are the primary ones that are on most. Again, I think it really depends on manufacturer to manufacturer.
Right.
I go to 9 to 5 Google. There are the new default Google apps for Android 10. See, this is published. Oh, this is old, 2023. But again, Google Play Store, Google Search, Chrome Browser, Google Drive, Gmail, Google Duo, Maps, Google Play Music, Google Photo, Google Play Movies, and YouTube. That's pretty much what I have on my Samsung. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's no Google Podcast.
Oh, right. Yeah, so it didn't get default
Now,
installation. Right.
someone wants to pull off a coup, Marco, or one of these others that have an Android app, start negotiating with Samsung and everyone else and try to get your podcast app preloaded. Apple will have the same issue. They won't be able to have a preloaded, but they have enough money they could buy their way in. There you go, Apple team. Tell Tim to pony up $1 billion and, pay the licensing fees to every one of the Android manufacturers worldwide, because it's probably going to take $1 billion to get the Apple Podcast app preloaded on every Android device.
Why?
It probably would take $1 billion, but guess what? There's not enough money in podcasting to justify them spending $1 billion to do
investment. It.
Right. Why?
But that would be a big middle finger to Google, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well, they're in antitrust court right now because of default browsers. They're in DOJ. Google's doing a DOJ trial right now as we speak, based upon them paying to make Google Chrome primary.
Wow,
and they pay Apple. My understanding is, from everything I'm hearing, they pay Apple a cool $1 billion a year to have Google Chrome in the iPhone.
Wow.
Tell you what, does that tell you what that's worth to Google for their display business?
Yeah, I would imagine.
All right. That's what it's all about, is the advertising that we get subjected to when we have Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was a reason to start using DuckDuckGo or one of these other privacy-focused browsers.
Right.
But, I'm talking to a wall here. No one cares. They're going to continue.
There's no privacy in Chrome. That's for sure.
So
you can turn stuff off, I suppose. Yeah.
So Banks says, of course, Google Play used to be the podcast destination. So it used to be there no, it wasn't there by fault. Google Podcast was never pre-installed on any Android device. It was maybe on Pixel, but not on. It wasn't. No.
And it wasn't easy to find that app either.
No. So we're not going to get a Christmas. We're not going to get it was on Google Play, of course. But the key is here, what we're talking about, and the reason why Apple Podcast, the app, there was an inflection point. For many, many years, Apple Podcast was not delivered with the iPhone.
Right.
And then at some point, what was it, 2000? Let me Google. When was Apple Podcast, I should know this date, added to the iPhone by default?
Hey, Todd, I just did a Google query in AI about Google Podcasts. And it says Google Podcast is a free app that lets you discover, stream, and download podcasts. It comes pre-installed on some Android smartphones. And all Pixel editions.
Yeah. So there again, A standalone Apple Podcast app was announced at the 2012 Worldwide Developer Conference as a feature of iOS 6. Apple released the app early on the App Store on June 26, 2012. So we've had a dedicated podcast app from Apple in the iPhone for 11 years. And there is never, and I use the word again, never to this day on this Samsung phone that I have here, this Galaxy S, whatever number it is, has there ever been a podcast app by default loaded on this phone ever? And this is my third or fourth Android. I've had to go manually install a podcast app on this phone.
Yeah.
Thus, the reason why we introduced subscribe on Android. So when someone came to someone's podcast website, said, oh, there's an Android link. They clicked on the Android button. We took them, if they didn't have an app already, we took them to subscribe on Android and said, here's 12 or 13 apps that support single clip subscribe on Android. Install it on your Android phone. And Heather Moore, once you find another podcast that has a subscribe on Android link, it will load the app by default and you can subscribe with one click.
Yeah.
Huh. Why does Blueberry Podcasters have a larger percentage of Android listeners than anyone else in the podcasting space? Ta-da!
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 Right. So I just went and pulled up the podcastmanager.google.com website.
Oh,
to see if it's still up. And
I'm
active.
sure it's still up.
It is up and active. Insights to power your podcast. It says, get to know your audience better and reach new listeners with Google Podcast Manager.
What in this? And people ask, why has Android always lagged in podcast listenership? Why is it always lagged? Why is the numbers of Android listeners by default always
like
lagged?
6-1 on Apple to
This
Android.
thing they're doing here with YouTube and Google Play Music is not going to fix that.
No.
Not going to fix it. Will not.
Google is a bigger platform than YouTube Music. Clearly.
So there is, again, a great opportunity here for all Android apps. They're all cheering. Everyone that has an Android podcast app that isn't Google, they are all like, yes!
Break out the gun and shoot one in the foot.
There is not, they're getting all those people back.
Right. They're shooting themselves in the foot.
They're getting all of them back.
Right.
Spotify's cheering too because they think, oh, we can get those folks.
Right.
And they're going to be marketing hard to Android users. Hard to try to get them to listen to podcasts on Spotify. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Send them to podcastapps.com. Get a modern podcast app on Android. Do not let people move.
I loaded the app, the YouTube Music app, and right on the front page, recommended music videos.
Well, search for the New Media Show. We're over there, in there.
Oh, it's in here. And okay,
but we're a video. We're a video.
We're actually live right now, but it only links to the video.
Yeah, links to the YouTube live. Yeah, exactly. Links to the YouTube live.
Oops, I'm kind of the wrong way.
Yeah, to the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all it links to.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, it does have a tab at the top.
It says podcast.
No, it says audio. It's up at the top up here.
They have the audio version of it.
If I click on the audio,
yeah,
it doesn't change anything. Really?
Great experience. Rob, you need.
Oh! I know what it did.
What did it do?
It locked the visual image
right
midstream, and just plays the audio.
Okay. Well, again,
that's the actual experience.
Let's stop talking about these folks. Quit. We have to.
Well, I think, Todd, people need to understand what they're doing here. I mean, I think ignoring them is probably not helping people understand
There's
what they're
people
doing.
pound.
is
There's
not-
people pounding their head against the wall right now that's listening to this show.
No, I don't disagree with that, but this may be how they're going to do the audio.
Yeah, okay.
Is what I'm saying. Is that it's just going to,
Freeze the album art if you're not doing live.
well, it's the live stream is what they
Yeah, well,
pause.
again, not everybody does live streams. That percentage is still small.
Right. But how are they going to? So is there any audio only?
Go look for Geek News Central. Because we're not live on Geek News Central, and I guarantee you what it's going to show you is the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to show
yeah.
that. It's going to show that video channel.
Yeah.
Because they're not taking RSS feeds yet, so we have to wait until see what they do with RSS.
Okay. I typed in Geek News Central and it came up with the new media show.
That's funny.
Because you've linked those things together.
Oh yeah. Because it's a different channel. There's two channels within the YouTube channel.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think platforms see YouTube doesn't see a difference between your Geek News Central and the new media show. Really. I mean, they do.
Right. Because again, we've just set the channel as a podcast in YouTube, and they don't know the difference yet until they start at some point taking RSS feeds.
Right. So I clicked on Geek News Central. Let me go to an episode. Yeah, it's only video.
It's video. Yeah, because that's all it's tied to right now is video. We have to
So
find
we
have to find a YouTube. What we have to find is we have to go on YouTube and find a podcast that doesn't have any video. But again, they can. It's all converted to MP4, so there's going to be something that's going to be shown there.
Yeah, well, they're going to probably only partner with shows that have video too. Right?
I don't know.
I mean, I think they announced a couple of really big shows.
Yeah,
like
if
the
you look,
Lex,
if you click
Lex Friedman show.
Yeah, if you click on the podcast link in YouTube, it's all video. So again,
okay, I clicked on the Lex Friedman show, but it looks like it's all video.
Yeah, Lex Friedman does video.
Yeah, he does.
So,
but who might they have in here that is just audio only?
well, again, you're going to have to dig and find one. I haven't, and I'm sure there's plenty out there. So if one of our podcasters does audio only, but yes, their audio on a YouTube channel, send us the link so we see what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's album art is what it shows. That's all it shows. I'm pretty sure is when it is playing. It just shows album art.
Yeah, it's been converted into a video file.
Yeah,
and it's just playing.
But again,
really playing as a video.
If they're going to ingest RSS, they have to take the MP3. That's just. I'm going to assume that they are.
Well, that's a big change for them.
Well, good.
Yeah. Well, if they want to compete with Apple and Spotify, they kind of have to do that, right? I would say if they want the content, they need to take it in the form that it's being presented if they're going to ingest RSS.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, we'll see
what they're actually going to do. We'll see.
Yeah. Boy,
we should keep checking about it, and we'll talk about it.
We should get some feedback on this show. Probably get some hate, but talking about those guys. But there's, here's the thing. We just got to keep our eyes on the ball, not get distracted about them and what they're going to do, because they've failed multiple times to move the ball for podcasting. So show me.
What would Adam Curry say?
I already know what he's going to say. No, I'm serious. They have not moved the ball.
Right.
For the average podcaster. They've not. For a subset that do video and all that stuff, yeah, they moved the ball. But for majority of podcasters, no, they haven't. They don't give two hoots. Because they don't drive them no traffic. Yeah. When we see Google Music, which supposedly going to ingest RSS feeds, When we see them
YouTube Music, it's not Google
excuse
Music.
me, YouTube Music, blah, blah, blah. YouTube Music, when we see that at 3 or 4%, then they've caught up to where they were before.
Mhm.
I don't believe it's going to happen. Amazon can't move the ball. Pandora can't move the ball. iHeart can't move the ball for average
Right.
podcasters.
Oh, no. Right.
They haven't moved the ball. Who has moved the ball? Apple Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast. Those are who's moved the ball. That's who people are using to listen to podcasts.
The other question that I have is this. So if your podcast is currently in Google Podcasts.
Oh, that's going
right,
to be, yeah.
then what's going to happen? I think if you look at this Google Podcast Manager platform at podcastmanager.google.com is the address that is, they have a process that you can claim your feed.
Yep. And here's the thing that pisses me off about that platform. About every 2 months, I have to go in there and say, you switch feeds. Stop pulling that wrong feed. I have to keep going in and telling it, don't move, don't pull this feed. You keep pulling the wrong feed. Because, I get a support ticket 2 weeks later, say, okay, we put your original feed back on. They keep moving the feed to some other location that is not my podcast feed. It drives me crazy.
Let me lay out another scenario as the more I think about this. What if a podcast is RSS only?
Yep.
But doesn't have their podcasts either in Google Podcasts or
every podcast is in Google Podcasts.
You think so?
Automatically. Yep.
Every podcast?
Yeah, we haven't found it. Within 2 weeks of a podcast coming online, it was in Google Podcasts.
Okay. Yeah, because it was done kind of automatically.
Yeah.
I think in the background. But yeah, okay. But let's say they don't have a YouTube channel.
Well, that's where I want to see what's going to happen, because there's going to be a conflict at some point.
Yeah, does that mean that
have 3 listings, 4 listings?
Well, that, and also where do you go in to claim that RSS feed that came out of Google Podcasts that they've imported into YouTube Music, right?
They'll have to tell us.
Is there going to be a separate claim process for that compared to what they have now? And is there going to be a submission process that's built into a channel area, the settings area for a channel in YouTube in order to get your podcast in there? Or is it going to be a separate thing?
It may be both, but there's going to have to be a way to deconflict.
Or I'm sure Google will want to force all podcasters to create a YouTube channel.
Some of us have 2 feeds, and that's another thing I've spent this week doing.
What, a video and an audio feed?
Yeah, I've been educating podcasters that, hey, by the way, you can do a video podcast,
right?
A true
one.
But
the question is YouTube going to accept the ingestion of a video podcast?
Oh, that's Darren lies. We'll see. I hope so.
There's a whole other question there.
Yeah, right. So it's a whole nother dealio.
I do know that YouTube has a relationship to import videos into Rumble. I thought it was an interesting connection.
Hold on a second. YouTube has a relationship to do what?
To Rumble, where you can link up your Rumble video account with YouTube, and that relationship will transfer videos out of YouTube into Rumble over a period of time. Automatically. Because I've done it.
No, that's interesting.
So there's a migration path
from YouTube to, I bet
to Rumble.
This must be a hack that Rumble did. I bet you there's no relationship. I bet you Rumble just is doing something. Of course, Rumble's in trouble now. The EU is going to try to find them because they won't do what they've been told like good children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big Brother coming in once again and putting the thumb on the scale.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on I thought it was an interesting relationship. So YouTube must have some sort of an API or something like that that is made available to other platforms to share video somehow. Not sure.
Oh, I see Mike Dell's comment on here. Somebody's comment may have gotten moderated on the Facebook channel, but might have been Mike's, but Anita's going to send me a screenshot of it. Huh. And Bangs has been busy. Rumble scrapes the video. Like BitChute and all the others, it's not a business relationship. Oh, not the EU. The UK is about ready to slap Rumble.
Oh, yeah, right.
He says there are many new podcasters I've been dealing with that think of Spotify and YouTube as where podcasts exist. Have never heard of RSS. It's Gen Z. Yeah, we know. We know that. So the best thing to do is educate.
Right.
Meanwhile, if you want to participate in the Podcasting 2 ecosphere, you can go over to podcastmirror.com and use that to participate. And take your Spotify feed and submit it to Podcast Mirror, and guess what? You can now monetize via Podcasting 2.0, value for value, time, talent, or treasure.
So does that mean that Spotify could make a connection to YouTube and get the YouTube videos transferred over to Spotify? Is that what's going to happen next?
That could happen. But I think you would have to be on Spotify to authorize that.
Right.
Yeah.
But if Rumble was able to do it, why couldn't Spotify do it?
Well, again,
right?
they just play the videos and they capture it, and then you've given them permission to take your content. So,
however that happens, there's some sort of a pathway there. If it's an API or some sort of.
Oh no, it's not a relationship. It's just pure. It's
grab.
Pure grab.
It's a pure grab.
I would imagine. Yeah. So I pay for YouTube Premium, but I don't pay for YouTube Music. Maybe it's a combined deal. So, you pay for YouTube Music at the same time if you buy Premium.
Oh, you do? Okay. Wow. So I have a music platform I can play. Huh? Wow. Okay. Wow. There you go. What a value there, Todd.
Yeah. Okay.
So we actually made it.
Well, we're not quite there yet. You were late. So you're still a little short.
We're a little short. Short is not an accurate reference to me, Todd.
So, okay, well, that's true. I tell you, it's an interesting time in the podcasting space right now, because we continue to have huge opportunity outside of the stupid conversation about YouTube with I keep throwing that in there. Great opportunity to grow your show right now. We're seeing it. We're seeing the numbers. Independent podcaster shows are growing because people are going downstream, looking deeper into Apple Podcasts and other places to find shows that are producing.
Yeah.
Again, it's a great time, and of course, I want to say the best time ever, but last 10 days, 247,000 episodes were created, but over the past 60 days, only 412,000. So the 10-day average might be up just a little bit, but the 60-day average hasn't caught up. So, so it still continues to be a challenge.
And I'm not getting a sense that the economic situation is going to be improving anytime soon.
Oh, it's horrible right now. Absolutely horrible.
I think the only way that we're going to see a change in there is if the interest rates can go down, but there's a lot of people saying that's not going to happen until 2024 sometime.
No, it's not at all going to.
It's going to continue to be a rough advertising market for podcasting.
Yeah.
Though a lot of people in the industry don't like to talk about it like that. That it's a rough market.
I've started No Shave November early. I'm going to put the beard back in.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm gonna put
Okay.
it back in. A little hint of fall, and I
Okay.
started 2 days ago.
What, it's a path to stay warm in the winter months? Is that what
Yeah,
it's the polar bear look?
Just get
Or
the
it's-
get the Santa Claus look going again here. You know.
Right. All right, Santa.
So I
Yep.
I there's no Grecian formula that's gonna save me. Not anymore. I
It's
am.
gone anyway. Right.
I am going to. I don't think it's going to affect the show. I'm going to be going out to see my daughter with
Oh.
my new grandbaby. So I don't think it's
Did
going
you see
to.
my message to you?
Oh, about next week not being available? Or
No, about the Wenatchee.
I did. That was curious. I'm just going to stay at her house, sleep on the floor.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. Unless you don't have so you don't have a house there no more. You don't.
I don't have one, no, but
okay.
my dad's sister lives there.
Oh, okay. Well, I got a place to stay, but that is
Okay, good.
what is the deal with that town? I've never seen it's more expensive to stay there than it is to stay in Seattle.
Well, it's because it's close to a town called Leavenworth, which
yeah.
is a German town,
Right.
which is a very popular kind of fall destination.
It's going to have Oktoberfest going on. So I got cheap tickets to get into Seattle. Wenatchee was it was double. I could get into round trip to Seattle for $450, but getting into Wenatchee was $800. And I'm like,
a small airport.
So
small airport.
Only serviced by Alaskan Airlines, only.
Yep.
And it would have had me arriving at midnight. So I'm just going to fly United like I normally do to Seattle. And then I will rent a car and drive for 3 hours. So there hopefully will be no snow by then. The pass doesn't get closed until like November 15th. So I should still be okay.
You should be okay. You should be okay in October.
Yeah. So go out there for 3 or 4 days and see the new grandbaby. But I don't think it's going to affect the show. I think I'm going to leave here on the 13th and come back on the 17th. So.
Okay.
But yeah, and maybe get a little Oktoberfest going on. Maybe drink a little German beer in.
Well, I was going to go out to Seattle too in October. So.
Well, let me know when you're out. Are you going to be in that area?
Well, I don't know. It depends on if we go out and see my
my
dad's sister or not. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm going to be cooking anyway. I'm going there to do chores, change baby diapers, and let my daughter get some sleep as she needs to.
Yeah.
So, but hope everyone has enjoyed the battle royale today. And
never a dull moment in the podcast.
And again, what is the secret group? Who belongs to the secret group?
There's a secret group.
Yeah, the secret group. Yes.
Secret group.
Yeah, that emailed me this, they're going to, looks like develop a hit piece for podcasting.
A hit piece.
That's my suspicion. Because they want people to go to jail.
Wow, that's some serious stuff there.
Yeah. Well, if you steal from people, that's a serious issue. And I'm not saying anybody is.
Well, yeah.
Okay. You come out with that gun, you better have all your ducks in a row, because that's a major accusation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think stealing is now more acceptable, Todd.
No, it's not.
To some people it is.
How can you even say that, Rob?
Well, you just got to pay attention to what's going on in the world. And
if you pay attention to what's going on in mainstream media, you'll end up sick. Don't watch any of that stuff.
I'm not watching mainstream. I'm just watching social media.
Well, you have to unfollow people that, yeah, there is some crazy stuff on social media.
Yeah.
But I haven't had time. I've just, like I said, it's been busy. It's just, I'm trying to stay ahead of my dev team.
Yeah. So what's the next event that you're involved in? I mean, there's, I know that
going
coming up here.
January, going to
Podfest.
Yeah, to Podfest. Matter of fact,
Same with me.
Has that announcement been made? It did, right? On the Hall of Fame?
No, I'm the one that said something.
Oh.
So but anyway, I'm sure that something is going to be coming out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I just said something I probably shouldn't have. Okay. So
It's okay.
everyone, thanks. I'm Todd at blueberry.com. I'm at Geek News on X. I'm at Geek News at geeknews.chat on Mastodon. Rob?
And I'm on X as well at Rob Greenlee. And you can find me at robgreenlee.com. I've got a bunch of podcasts. You can find them all there. And you can send me an email if you want, rob.greenlee, and that's 2 E's, at gmail.com is my current email address. So feel free to send me a note if you have any who the secret group is.
Yeah, we want to know. And have you got the
we
same?
Promise we won't tell anybody.
Have we got the same? Have you got the same email? Somewhat, it's a very interesting email.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone. We'll see you back here at the same. Well, we'll be back at 3:00 next week. Rob isn't going to have to race. I think we are. Yeah.
So I do have a new surprise coming out in October about something I'm doing.
So you're. Let me guess. You are going to work with. You already work for them. You already work for them. You already work. So is this a?
It's a checkoff list, Todd. That's all it is.
So I'm trying to figure out who's left on the list that's still in
Well,
business.
I think there's multiple things that we may be talking about me in the next month, right? Who knows? Oh,
really? So, wow.
Yeah. Well, you keep wanting to talk about one of them already, so just
Oh.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not ready to talk about it yet. So,
okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, all right, everybody. Rob's hinting.
Well, that's all I can do is hint.
All right. So everybody take care. We'll see you next time here. And
Okay.
let that email flow. We want to know.
Yes.
All right.